Okay, Matrix, we're going to be moving on today. We are going to go and talk about the rest of phase 1. So obviously we left off at conducting research, and now we are going to look at preparing your neat freehand drawings. Okay, so first things first, I just want to grab a highlighter so that you can obviously see where we are, what we're talking about, and I obviously want to make sure that you guys can see the page. Perfect. Okay, so it says here, prepare neat detailed freehand drawings of the floor plan layout of 2 possible design solutions for the proposed new building. Okay, this is pretty important to understand that when you're drawing your freehand, you get a grid paper. Okay, now your grid paper kind of looks like this cutting mat. It's got blocks on it, and there are 2 ways which you could draw your freehand drawings. So one could be you could have a blank piece of paper, you could lay it over your grid, and then you can trace the blocks over through the paper. The other alternative is you could have a grid paper printed on a page, okay, and you could draw on the back of that page and then see through the back to draw your grid, okay. So that's obviously to help you with your freehand drawings. You may not draw with a ruler at all. You're not allowed to draw neatly and lightly with your ruler and then go over it with pencil. Don't do that. It's a freehand drawing for a reason, okay? And the grid paper is there to act as those lines to help you. So it's not really necessary for you to be drawing lines neatly first and then drawing over it, okay? Okay, so it says you must draw a floor plan layout of 2 possible design solutions for the proposed new building, including the water tanks. Each freehand drawing must show the correct presentation of all the building features, example, wall thicknesses, doors, all the permanent fixtures, the roof lines, as well as the primary dimensions and labels. Calculate the total area of the building and the floor area of 1 bedroom with the ensuite bathroom. The calculations must be clearly shown in a table on the drawing sheet as part of each freehand, okay? So it's important for you guys to know that pretty much all the information you need is on this paper here, okay? If you read this thoroughly and you go through step by step to make sure that you've completed everything, it will help you. Now, one thing I want to mention is that a permanent fixture does not include things like dining tables and things like that. What I want you to think about is, say you're viewing an apartment, maybe you're viewing a house. There's no furniture in that place, okay? Permanent fixtures are the things that are not furniture. So they will include things like your built-in cupboards, okay? They will include things like your toilet, your bath, but it does not include furniture. It includes, if you had to take your house and take all of the furniture out, what is part of the house that is left behind? That is a permanent fixture, okay? So that's the best way I can explain it to you guys so that you know that is what a permanent fixture is. Okay, so it says, note, grid graph paper must be used to assist with the preparation of the freehand drawing so that all features and fixtures are drawn to proportion. The grid graph paper must be included in the pad file portfolio. So obviously, after you've done your freehand drawings, if you've used the grid paper separately to the paper, it must be included. But if you've drawn, like I say, with the grid at the back and you drew on top of it behind the paper, it will obviously be included. Okay. All aspects of the freehand drawing, including dimensions, labels, tables, and possible information blocks, must be prepared using a pencil only. Okay, obviously we know EGD, we use pencil, and sometimes we need to correct a couple of things. It is important for you to use a pencil, okay? The use of any other drawing equipment, example, a ruler or a compass, will be penalized, okay? You may not use any of it. All right. The electrical layout and the wastewater disposal systems are not required on the freehand drawings, okay? So you do not have to draw any of this. You just have to draw what they've mentioned in this paragraph here. And if you get stuck, just read it again and refer to the blocks here at the back. That will help you, okay, to determine what is expected of you. All right. Then it says the freehand drawings may be prepared on either A4 or A3 drawing sheets. No borders or title panels are required for the freehand drawings. All the freehand drawings must comply with the guidelines and graphical symbols contained in the sans 10143. The drawings must provide clear evidence that a high level of competency has been attained in the freehand drawing method. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Okay, this is something you guys have done in grade 11. You should know the basics of this. Your pats are not difficult, they are quite easy, but the thing is you do have to work and you do have to follow instructions. Otherwise it is very easy for you to not achieve what you were hoping to achieve. Okay, all right, so now we've got the next section of phase 1 before we move on to phase 2, and that is selecting the best solution that demonstrates an in-depth understanding of the scenario. Now, a lot of people actually struggle with this, but it's actually quite easy. You can do really well at this part, so let's go through it. So, on a separate page, compare and evaluate the 2 freehand solutions by creating a table with a minimum of 6 relevant and self-explanatory descriptive criteria that will facilitate measurable comparisons. Okay, so you're going to have to format a table and find 6 criteria that will obviously you can compare your freehands together to. Okay, creating and applying a simple self-explanatory rating scale to score each solution against criteria. Okay, so if you had to say, for instance, layout, I don't know, just for example, say you say layout and you say the layout works well with the layouts of most Airbnbs. Just give me a second. Okay, all right, so it says, so what was I saying? Layout. So if you're going to be comparing the layouts, you need to have a score to weigh it up against, and you need to explain how your score goes, because you can't say, like, for instance, 1 out of 10, but we don't know if 1 out of 10 means good or bad. You're going to have to tell us on a simple rating scale. Okay, justifying each score by describing the positive and or negatives of the solution against criterion. Okay, so you have to say what you like, what you don't like, what works, what doesn't work against each criteria that you choose. Okay, complete the process by writing a comprehensive summary giving reasons for your selected freehand solution. Okay, the summary must include whether any late changes were made to the selected freehand solution or not. So if you have made changes to the solution, you need to specify that, okay? And you are only writing a comprehensive summary on the selected freehand that you have chosen, okay? So you need to also indicate if you've made changes. So if you've added an extra door or if you've changed a little bit of something here and there, you need to specify what that is, okay? So that obviously we know what changes you've made. All right, so now we'll look at phase 2. Okay, phase 2. Present the selected solution as a set of working drawings and a pictorial drawing that meets the following criteria. Okay, so before we even look at anything else, you'll see that they've given you 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. That is because they are all different drawing phases. Okay, so it says, all the working drawings must be prepared on appropriately sized drawing sheets, set up with the correct borders. Only one of the drawing sheets must be set up with a complete SANS compliant civil title panel. Okay, so basically everything needs to have a border, but there's going to be one page where you need to have a proper civil title panel. If you're not sure what this looks like, you can obviously speak to your teacher and they can guide you in the right direction. Okay, the drawings must provide clear evidence that a high level of competency has been attained in the following 2 drawing methods: instrument drawing, CAD. Okay, so now if you don't do CAD at your school, CAD is completely not relevant to you. You'll be doing an instrument drawing. If you can do CAD but they don't offer it at your school, you're obviously not going to be drawing in CAD. Okay, if your school does use CAD, then obviously you'll be able to use CAD. Okay, one entire working drawing must be prepared using a pencil and drawing instruments and the other using a CAD program. That is obviously if you have CAD. Okay, the perspective drawing may be prepared using a pencil and drawing instruments or a CAD program. But if you don't have CAD, everything is drawn by hand. Okay, Schools that do not have CAD facilities must prepare all the required working drawings and a pictorial drawing using a pencil drawing instruments. Okay. Once again, very self-explanatory. All aspects of drawings must comply with the guidelines, title panel, graphical symbols, and representations contained in the SANS. Okay, so you guys have obviously been doing civil since grade 10. It's in your workbooks. You guys know what it is what it looks like when you have to draw a water closet. Okay, you know what the symbol is. You need to use the symbols that you have learned. Okay. Draw detailed layout drawings of the selected freehand solution of the building, including the water tanks, clearly showing the required building features. Now your layout drawings are your floor plans, okay? So your floor plans, your elevations, and your section, and they are going to be based on the drawing that you've chosen. Now again, if you make any changes, that is what's going to go into your comprehensive summary, okay? The drawings must show the following orthographic views: the complete floor plan drawn to a suitable scale, preferably not smaller than scale 1 to 75, okay? Now, I have got a video that is called how to understanding the metric scale or something like that. That will help you understand scales for your PAT. So what I'll do is I will put it in a folder in a grade 12 2025 PAT folder, so that if you guys are not sure, you can watch that video and you can understand how scales work if you're not 100% sure how to use them. Okay, then it says 2 elevations drawn to the same scale as the floor plan. One elevation must show the front of the building with the balustraded area with steps and the pivoted front door, and the other elevation, the side of the building that clearly shows the water tanks. It is recommended that you draw the elevations that would be required for the 2-point perspective drawing. Okay, so basically what they're saying here is, you know that when you draw a perspective drawing, I think I'm actually going to grab an example for you guys just so that you understand where I'm going with this. Okay, so looking at this perspective over here, right, you obviously will have your floor plan. So basically what they're saying is you need 2 sides for your perspective drawing. So generally you're going to have the sides that you need to be the same. So what they're basically saying is, if this were your floor plan, which obviously it's not, this is just a perspective I picked up to give you guys an example. But if you can't draw, say, for instance, this is your front, you can't draw your front and then say this view here. Okay, they're saying it is recommended that you obviously do this view and this view, so that when you draw your perspective, it is easier to draw it, okay, because you've already got your views drawn up in your elevations. Okay, so I hope that explains it in case you were not sure. And now we will move on to explaining the rest. Remember, your perspective drawing forms part of your cover page, so you need to make sure that it's going to be done well. Okay, then it says, what does it say here that clearly shows is recommended? Yeah, okay. A detailed section drawn to scale 1 to 20. Now remember, your scales that they tell you must be drawn, you need to obviously keep that in mind, showing the detail of the foundation to the roof, because they're matric, you should obviously know foundation to roofs. The cutting plane must pass through the steps, veranda, and pivoted front door. So obviously you'll be taking your section from the front of your building. Make use of a break line to limit the width of the detailed section to approximately 3.5 meters, so that it will show the detail of the entire veranda and steps, pivoted front door, and end of the roof, including all the rainwater items and the balustrades behind the cutting plane. So you obviously know that this is a break line, so they're telling you that this is what you need to use. Okay, include the following on all relevant views. So this means that you need to think about what is relevant for you to include and not to include. Okay, all exterior features, window and door frames, must be shown in the 2 elevations. So you can't just draw a little block for a window, you need to show the details. The roof detail, including all rainwater items and roof lines. Okay, all permanent fixtures. Now obviously, if a permanent fixture is a built-in cupboard, you're not going to see that on your elevation. So it's not relevant to the view that you're drawing it on, but it is relevant to other views. And so it's important that you put them in those views. Okay, all electrical fittings and the wiring layout, the water disposal systems and sewage, the cutting plane, hatching detailed dimensioning, titles, labels and notes, scales used in the north point. Also, you don't just draw in your north point wherever, you actually need to draw it where north is facing. Okay, so I think they give it on your site plan. You can see that north is in this direction here. Okay, so it is important for you that when you draw your buildings, you've got the north point facing where your building is correctly orientated. Okay, so you obviously can't draw your building and it's facing here and then label it with the north point in the incorrect place. You actually have to put it where it's supposed to be based on where your elevations are and your floor plan is, and etc. etc. Obviously I can't go through that with you because that's just something you will know by drawing up your own drawings where things will go. Okay, let's just bring this down here. Okay, good, you can see. Okay, draw to a suitable scale the complete detailed site plan of the stand. Include the following: all given site details and features, including the remaining vegetation, with notes indicating which vegetation was removed, because obviously, as we've discussed before, you will have to remove a few things. Okay, the placement of the proposed new building, water tanks and garage, the motor vehicle entrance of Honeysuckle Street, the driveways and the parking area, all sewage detail and dimensions, scale, and your north points. Okay, it's important, like I say, to go through this, make sure you don't miss anything. What I like to do, and you can do it as well, is as you complete something, put a tick so that you know what you've done and what you haven't done. That way, if you say you're busy with your site details and you haven't quite you've drawn the remaining vegetation, but maybe you haven't indicated which vegetation was removed, don't tick it, so that when you come back to finalize it, you can obviously check it then. Okay, then it says, draw a detailed human eye view, so that is a 2-point perspective drawing of the complete building and water tanks. The water tanks need to be included in this drawing. Okay, orientate the perspective drawing so that it will clearly show the front of the building with the steps, veranda with balustrades and oversized pivoted front door, and the side of the building with the water tanks. The horizon line must be plus minus 1.5 meters above the ground line. Okay, so basically what that means is, if you've got your perspective, let's just zoom out again so that you guys obviously can see what we're talking about. You've obviously got your ground line. You're going to be drawing to a scale, and if you're going to be using your floor plans and your elevations, you've already got your scale. Depending on what that scale may be, you need to put your horizon line at a 1.5 meters, okay? And then you'll obviously draw your perspective accordingly. You are going to lay out your own perspective page, so it's important that you get the layout done properly. Okay, and then if we go back in, so you guys can see, evidence of the following must be included: all views and drawings used to produce the perspective drawing. So if you use your elevations and your floor plans, you need to obviously include it. All construction used to produce the perspective drawing. And then it says, note, use a copy of the perspective drawing which may contain artistic features as the picture for your cover page of your PAT file portfolio. Okay, so we're going to stop there today. I hope that this helped guide you a little bit. And one thing that will make your PAT easier as a whole is thorough research. Okay, and it's important that you do thorough research so that you actually know what you're drawing, how your layout's going to look, etc., etc. Okay, so I hope this helped you, and we will obviously do phase 3 in another video. Okay.